everyone, my name is Emma and today I'll be hosting this workshop all about creating cottagecore doodles using the new mono drawing pen colors. By the end of this workshop, you'll know how to doodle and confidently use fine liners. If you're a beginner, I'll try my best to walk you through every step of the way. Since we are going over 9 doodles in 10 minutes, I provided a worksheet if you need a little more guidance on how to create these doodles, and this will give you a step-by-step process on how to draw each doodle you see in this video. So if you love whimsical and dainty artwork, you'll want to keep watching. Okay, that's enough intro for now. Let's get started. Here are some supplies that you'll need for today's workshop. Today, our product focus is on the mono drawing pen colors, which includes 8 colors in size 3, making it one of the most versatile tools for any project. Before we start on our doodles, we're going to do some fine liner warm-ups. You'll be seeing these techniques in our doodle. The first one is squiggles, and we're just going to go in an up and down wave motion. Make sure to keep your hand steady and go slow if you need to at first. The next technique is called stippling, which means creating small dots, and this one's pretty simple and it can be used to create small details and add texture. We'll also be using straight lines in our doodles so you can practice freehanding these. This next one is called hatching, and essentially you're making overlapping lines to add texture. First, create diagonal lines going in the same direction, and then you want to make lines on top of that one going the opposite direction. It's okay if your lines aren't perfectly straight, but try your best to keep them the same height, and then when you put it together, it should look like a grid. The last technique we'll be going over is what I like to call bubbles, and you'll see this pretty often in this workshop. It's pretty similar to the squiggles, but a lot closer together. Now that we've practiced, we're ready to start on our doodles. The first doodle is this jar, and you want to start by creating 2 lines and then connecting it in the middle and making them rounded at the corners. We're going to do the squiggles technique that we learned and add the top of the jar. We're going to make a little bubble label for our jam jar. We're going to use that same technique that we learned, but instead make it into a rectangular shape. After you're happy with your sketch, go in with a mono drawing pen in size 1, and this one is in black, and just outline everything very slowly and just make sure that you are keeping with your sketch. I love how precise these are, and you can really get a clean outline with these. I'm going in with my mono drawing eraser, and as you can see there's no smudging, and now I'm going to color in the gingham pattern. To do this, you want to draw a solid square, and then next to it make another square, but this time make it lined, and just repeat this pattern. Below it, make a lined square under the solid, and then next to it, create a blank square. And don't worry if this takes you a few tries to get it right. I'm going to add a little tie with my black mono drawing pen and a ribbon, and you're going to do this by creating a straight line and then curve the edges. Next, I'm going to create my strawberry in the middle, and you can make this any fruit you want just by changing the colors. So you can do blueberries, you can make orange with this one, and you can also do like a grape jelly if you wanted. Now that you finish your first doodle, we're going to work on the duck, and I like to start by drawing the beak and then a curved line and just working my way towards the bottom of the duck. And please don't feel discouraged if this takes you a few times. I definitely erased this about 3 times just to get it right, and I feel like doodling is all about being expressive and making mistakes. I'm going to make 3 feathers, and then after you do this, you want to draw the flower on his head. So you're going to start by making about 4 squiggles, and don't connect it at the end because we're going to add a little stem. On the side of the duck, I'm just going to add a wing and add a few lines to add detail. Now you can add the beak and the eye. For the feet, create lines and then 2 little bumps and just create that for the other side. After every sketch, I'm just going to go in with my mono black drawing pen and outline it carefully. For the tail, I'm adding a little less pressure just so it feels a little more feathery. I always suggest starting your artwork with pencil so you can confidently go in with your fine liners and trace. In my experience, this has led to the most steady line work. Next, go in with your mono drawing pen colors and just fill in the flower any color you'd like. The really cool thing about these pens is that they're also blendable. So first you want to add pink, and then on top of it add yellow, and this creates an orange hue. Now we're going to start on our third doodle, which is a little teapot. Create a half oval and then a curved line on top, and then we're going to use that bubble technique that we used to add it on the top. Now I'm going to draw the spout, and you just want to go in an upward motion, draw a little oval, and then do a downward motion to connect it. And then you also want to add the bottom of the teapot as well as the handle. After sketching, I always make sure that the eraser debris is not in the way of my pen so it doesn't mess up with the flow. The key rule to fine lining is just to be patient. I really suggest not rushing through any of the strokes and just making sure that you are taking time on the really detailed parts. To color in this, we're just going to add some hatching, so you just want to make some green lines on the top and the bottom of the teapot. Then I'm going to go in with pink and do the same thing for the spout and handle. So remember the stippling technique, but we're going to use that for the little bubbles, and you just want to add some green dots there. I'm going to make this flower that you'll see in the other doodles, and you're just going to start by making 5 petals and then adding a dot in the middle, and then you just want to color it in and add some green leaves on the side. One of my favorite stippling techniques is to create tiny little flowers using 5 little dots. After that, we're officially done with the third, so we're going to move on to this stack of books. This one is probably the easiest one. You just want to draw 3 rectangles. After that, you're just going to outline them, and then we're going to decorate them. I'm going to fill in the top of the book as well as the bottom, and then for the other 2, we're going to do some hatching to add more visual interest. Next, I'm going to add a rectangle to each of the books. These mono drawing pens are so good for little details, even in size 3. I'm just going to draw little flowers and leaves, and you could totally do any leaves and flowers you'd like. Again, using the stippling technique to make a purple flower. And then I'm just going to go in with my ruler, and you could do this freehand if you're comfortable, and just add a few lines, and after that you're done. Now for the strawberry vine, you're just going to create a few curved lines like this, and then add some leaves. And I made mine a little funky shape, but you can go for more simple. And I'm going to add this star shape that will be the base of the strawberry as well as some flowers. And once you're done with the star shape, you're going to create a pointed circle for the strawberry. Feel free to pause at any moment if you need a little more time to sketch. Next, I'm just going to fill in using the same technique that we did for the other ones. I accidentally dropped my mono drawing pen next to the strawberry, so I used some correction tape to fix it, but this goes to show that mistakes are okay. After we finish that, we're going to move on to our next sketch, and you're going to make an oval and add a wavy border around it. Add your tulip inside by creating 3 little bubbles and flatten it at the bottom, and then add your stem and draw some leaves similar to the ones that we just did in the strawberry vine. Something I like to do to make fine lining a little easier is I break it up so I don't go always in one line. As you can tell, I'm picking up my pen and starting somewhere else just so I have more control. Now you want to color in, and something that I notice that helps me is I outline it and then color it in, which helps me just color in the lines. Now to further decorate it, I'm just going to add some lines on the outer part of the frame. And just top it off with a few stippling dots just to add a little more detail. This next doodle is one of my favorites, and we're going to make a flower with a snail resting on top of it. So you want to start by making an oval and adding 4 petals to the bottom of it. After that, draw a thin stem at the bottom, and then you want to make a circle with a swirl inside for the snail, and draw its bodies and a few antennas. Tombow carries these mono drawing pens in size 005 to size 6, and this is really good for creating different effects. So for instance, finer tips are great for details, while broader lines are good for filling in or bolder details. The drawing pen colors comes in size 3, which I feel like is such a good middle size because you can still fill in larger areas as well as create details with size 3. I'm using the 005, and this is my favorite pen for making tiny details. For one of the simpler doodles, you're going to draw a square, and then you're going to add a stamp border. So you're going to do this by drawing a straight line and then a divot and just connecting it until you go all the way. Now fill in your stamp with a flower, and I chose a lily of the valley. If you want your fine liners to last a really long time, I suggest always remembering to put the cap on and don't leave it off for too long because they could dry out. Now go in with your brown and just fill in the border. And for the last doodle, we're going to make a basket because what is cottagecore without one? Start by drawing a rim and making a flat rounded shape at the bottom, adding a bubble line, a bow, and 2 curved handles. I'm just going to draw a similar tulip that we've been drawing in the previous doodles. And you know the drill, I'm just going to outline it with my black and then color it in, and I chose brown because I felt like it complemented the basket well. And I'm going to go in and do some lines as well as stippling just to add a little bit of texture, and as well adding hatching to the handle and coloring in the flower. Lastly, I went in with the black just to add finishing touches, and after that you finished your last doodle of this workshop. Thank you for joining this workshop, and I hope you came out of this experience feeling extra confident in using fine liners. If you haven't already, pick up your mono drawing pen colors at Michael's today, and the next part of this workshop is putting your doodle skills to work in my Intro to Journaling Masterclass, which you can find on the Tombow and Michael's website. Thanks again, and I can't wait to see what you create next. Hi everyone, my name is Emma, and today I'll be hosting this workshop all about creating cottagecore inspired journal spreads, as well as using fine liner techniques. If you haven't seen my workshop on the foundations of fine liners, I highly suggest you go and watch that one first because I give you a step-by-step process on how to create the doodles that you see in this video. In that video, I also go over techniques using the new mono drawing pen colors, such as stippling and hatching. However, in this workshop, we're taking everything we learned in that first workshop and putting it all together to create a 4-page spread. Creating journal spreads have been a passion of mine since grade school, and something I really love about it is that they motivate me to start my month on the right page. So without further ado, let's get started. Today you'll need a dotted notebook, and I got mine off of Amazon. You'll also need a pencil for sketching, and here I have the monograph mechanical pencil. And you'll also need a few dual brush pens. I just chose some neutrals to go with my cottagecore theme. Mono drawing pens in all sizes, and these are in black. And then the star of the show, the mono drawing pen colors. These pens are in size 3 and includes 8 essential colors, which makes it super versatile for any project. Today we'll be going over how to use them to create dynamic and colorful journal spreads. You'll also need a good eraser, and finally, totally optional, but a ruler and an oval stencil. First, we're going to create our cover page. Start by creating a big oval in the center of the page. I'm using the blue mono drawing pen to start. No worries if you don't have this stencil on hand, it's completely optional, and you can freehand this oval if you'd like. We're going to add a smaller oval inside using pencil. Our first doodle is a little duck with a flower on its head. I'm sketching it out lightly in the center, and the one thing I love about the monograph mechanical pencil is its eraser on top. The eraser is great for erasing in small areas, and the pastel color is a must. Once you're finished and happy with your sketch, go in with your black mono drawing pen in size 2 and carefully outline your sketch. The key to outlining is making sure your sketch is set in stone so you can outline with confidence in your doodle. Go slow and avoid any quick movement in your lines. After I outline, I like to go in with my eraser and just erase the pencil marks, and as you can see, there's no smudging. Using the red and green drawing pen, I'm going to color in this flower, and the pigment on this pen amazes me every time. It's pretty easy to color in, even with such a small tip size. The really cool thing about these pens is that they're blendable. For the beak and feet, color in red and then on top add yellow. This creates an orange hue, and if you want a lighter orange, you can try pink then yellow on top. Feel free to mix your own combos to make whole new colors. We're going to create a strawberry vine in a smaller circle. You want to lightly sketch to map out where your liner will go, and I'm doing a pattern of strawberries, leaves, flowers, and repeating that pattern. You can refer to my previous workshop for more details on creating the strawberry vine, where I go over all the doodles you'll see in this video, or if you feel more comfortable, you can follow along with this video too. Repeat this pattern until you've completed the oval. Once you're done, follow up with the red, green, and yellow pen to color in vines, strawberries, and flowers. I'm going in with my green just to thicken the vine a little bit to add more contrast. Now that we're done with the vine, we're going to go in with the blue pen again and do some lettering. Moving on to the background, we're going to create a gingham pattern using the Tombow dual brush pen in color 553. Start by creating vertical lines down the page, leaving one column space in between each line. When you're doing this, make sure to not go in the center oval. It's okay if your lines aren't perfectly straight, I promise. Just repeat this until you reach the other end of the page. Now add a horizontal line, again leaving one column of space in between. As you can see, the pen stroke gets darker once it overlaps, which creates a gingham print. Repeat this until you reach the bottom. You can go back in and fill in the gaps near the oval to make the pattern more seamless. Lastly, I'm just going to go in with the brown mono drawing pen and create an outline for my background. And with that, you have the first page done. Moving on to page 2, we're going to start by creating our calendar, making it 22 lines wide and 19 lines tall. This is all dependent on the month that you choose and how many days the month has. I ended up shifting it one line over to make it more centered. In August 2025, there are 31 days, so I created 6 rows. Using a ruler, you're going to create 4 dot by 4 squares. Going in with the brown mono drawing pen, I'm going to outline the calendar. Make sure you keep your ruler steady in order to get the perfect straight line and use the dots as your guide. In the bottom right corner, leave a little gap so we can draw a stamp that's going to look like it's on the calendar. I'm doing something a little bit different and leaving the edges empty because I want to round the corners to soften the look. When I think of cottagecore, it's a very soft aesthetic to me, and the rounded corners are just going to add a little cute touch. Now for more lettering, add your days on the top of the calendar. Unpopular opinion, but I like when the week starts with Sunday, but you can customize it for whatever works better for you. The mono drawing pens work so well for lettering and are so easy to use for beginners. If you're a little nervous to write in cursive, the mono drawing pens are a great tool to start with because they are monoline and feel super steady to work with. They are also perfect for writing in little details like numbers and small notes. Going in with the blue, let's add the month up in the top middle as a header. I'm adding these little strawberry vines around the header using the same doodles we did in the strawberry vine in our cover page. Use the same technique you did for the oval vine when coloring in these smaller vines. I ended up going in with a black pen in size 005 and drawing little seeds on the strawberries. This made me so sad that I lost footage of me creating these doodles on the shelf, but you can find the tutorial in my previous workshop on fine liners. And after you're finished with that, we are halfway done. These 2 pages will be focused on a mood tracker and a reading tracker. You may be asking why someone may use a mood tracker, and it's for keeping track on how your month went, such as noticing patterns in your mood on certain weeks, or simply just the idea of adding to your spread daily. For me, it helped me reflect on how my day went and served as a visual representation of my month. This mood tracker is inspired by frames, stamps, and flowers, and coloring in the flower and the color that represents your mood is how you keep track. I'm creating small ovals in no particular order, but spacing them out and scattering them. After placing your ovals, you can add squares and rectangles of different sizes, and just make sure to leave a bit of space around the rectangle. I'm drawing these ovals and rectangles pretty freely, but the key is to have one for every day of the month, and in my case for August, I need 31. Though it's a bit tedious, I promise you in the end, it's worth it. Please enjoy this time lapse while we work together to fill in our page with shapes. The next step is to create this border stamp around some of the rectangles. You can do this directly with a brown mono drawing pen if you're comfortable, or sketch it in pencil first if you want to practice the stamp border. Creating the stamp border is very simple. You just want to draw a short line connected to an inward divot and repeat that until it connects all the way. I also added a bubble border to some, and you can spread these out to add variety. Fill in the stamp border with a dual brush pen, but make sure to keep the color inside the lines because we'll be adding a flower doodle inside all of our shapes. I'm using 3 different shades of brown to add contrast between each designated day. You can use a ruler for this part or freehand it like I did. I try to not add too much of one color in one place, and I like to spread it around so it alternates in color. Instead of having 2 light browns next to each other, I might do a light brown and a dark brown. Now for my favorite part, we're going to freehand some flowers and mushroom doodles using the black mono drawing pen in the smallest size 005. I chose 005 because I wanted a lot of space in order to color in the flower. Feel free to add these doodles in your journal spread, or you can practice freehanding some of your own for this part, or maybe a mixture of both. In the center, I'm going to add my title mood tracker in the red mono drawing pen. Because my composition is very busy, I just stuck to a simple header. After this, add the numbers 1 through 31 next to each shape, which you'll see in the next clip. So the only part we're going to color in for now is the green leaves using a green dual brush pen. They don't signify mood and kind of just act as greenery, but we'll keep the flower empty for the moods. Now we're going to create the key at the bottom, and this is the reference we'll use to keep track of which color represents the mood. I'm drawing and filling in squares in different mono drawing pen colors. I labeled pink for happy, purple for calm, red for moody, blue for sad, yellow for excited, and green for ill. These can be changed based on your preference, and I'm going in with the 005 monodrawing pen to do this. The last thing to do is color in your mood. I'm feeling happy, so I colored in my first flower pink. Let's move on to our last page, which is a reading tracker. Reading trackers are great for readers who want to stay motivated, organize their reading lists, and help achieve reading goals. It helps keep track of what book you read that month. Create a rectangle 5 dots high and make them pretty wide. It's okay if one is shorter than the other, this actually adds some visual interest. Repeat this and make them stacked unevenly. Now for one of my favorite doodles of the workshop. On top of the books, create the potted flower and snail doodle we learned previously. Start by sketching the pot, then adding the flower, and then lastly the snail. Once you have the foundation, outline using your brown monodrawing pen. Similarly, like how we did with the calendar, we're going to round the corners just to tie it all together. Next, draw a box on the ends of each book and color them in. I like to color in the same direction so it looks more seamless between strokes. Draw a box for the title of the book. I write tiny, so if you need a little more space for your title, you can make your box bigger. This is where you'll write the title of your book that you're keeping track of. I'm going to decorate each book a different color, making them unique. Let's create a striped look, and when you do this, try to avoid overlapping your flower doodle and go around it instead. This will help keep everything clean. So instead of coloring it in solid, we're going to do some hatching. So you want to draw diagonal lines on each side, and then on top of it, draw diagonal lines the other way. You're going to do this for every other book. And again, just repeating the box so we can put our title, and just draw a different doodle this time, and then you're going to add the lines that we did in the previous book. We'll just repeat this technique until all the books are completed. Next, we're going to color in the pot, and we're going to make a gingham print. So how to do this is you draw a solid box next to a striped box, and just repeat that pattern going left to right. Finish outlining your pot, and then after, add some little dots going left to right again. I'm going to color in my flower using the green mono drawing pen, and as well as adding blue for the petals just to tie in all the blue that we used in the beginning. For the snail, I'm going in with the brown mono drawing pen and outlining it, and then going in with my jewel brush pen to fill in the shell. Create a little face with your 005 mono drawing pen, and these are so good for small details like this. Next, you want to write reading tracker at the bottom, and I just did this with blue, and then I ended up adding 2 little sparkles on each side of the title. I thought it'd be a cute little touch if they were tied together with a ribbon, so I'm just drawing a vertical line down the middle of the books and curving the ends, and then adding a dainty bow in the middle. For the last step, you just want to write in the books that you've been reading, and this just helps you stay motivated on the books that you want to read or plan to read in the future. And with that, you completed this workshop. Thank you so much for joining me today on this workshop all about cottagecore spreads, mono drawing pens, and doodles. I had such an amazing time hosting, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Thank you so much, and happy crafting!